Morning everybody, Andy here. First things first, I shall put the figures down below. And yesterday, as sort of partly expected, I suppose, it always happens towards the middle of the week, the deaths go up, maybe to a more realistic level. Yesterday reported 627, that's quite some leap, isn't it? Which now takes us to 32,692 deaths. Well, a day. It's 50 videos. 50 videos. I haven't got a cake, I've got a cup of coffee. So that's a bit of a celebration, I suppose. And obviously, it's a sort of a time of reflection because I started doing these videos on the 25th of March, which was 2 days after the lockdown or the semi-lockdown, whatever the restrictions came into place in the UK. And obviously today is actually the first day, really, that the restrictions have started to be eased. Although Boris did his speech on Sunday, Wednesday today is the day that we're now allowed to go out and do more exercise, and then people are allowed to go back to work, expected to go back to work in certain circumstances as well. So things are starting to ease, and we've got another possible change on the 1st of June, and then potentially another change on the 4th of July. So this is going to be going on for quite some time. And when I started this, I made a couple of little notes. As the first one, as I said, it was on the 25th of March, and it wasn't really tied up with the coronavirus as such, because it was some friends on YouTube, if you're watching this outside of YouTube, I started making videos again, who hadn't made videos, some of them for sort of 10 years or something like that. And probably they started making them because of the pandemic that was incoming, whether it be in America, whether it be in Europe, or even in Asia as well, people making videos. It sort of got people back into it again, to talk about it, to make some sort of statement, to connect with other people. So that was the reason I first made the video. The second day was a similar sort of thing, but talking about it and actually asking questions about where people were with their situations in different parts of the world, trying to learn about it. And I think it was the third video that I actually started mentioning the daily figures, and it's a bit of a shocker, I tell you, because that was obviously sort of the 25th, 26th, 27th of March, and the daily death figures then were 113, which is, we're getting occasionally down to that, so not that far, but the total number of deaths on that particular day was 578. We're now at over 32,500. That just shows you, in those sort of 50 or 48 days or whatever, the difference. It was on day 4 that I started calling them the Coronavirus Diaries, and when I obviously realised that this was going to be an ongoing thing, I got it back into doing these and realised that it was a good way of actually cataloguing, diarising what was happening. Whether I intended it or expected it to go on, I don't know really, if I'm perfectly honest. I suppose even back then we realised that this was probably a long-term thing. Maybe we didn't realise how long-term, because we were all coming to terms with it in our own different ways, getting used to the lockdown itself, getting used to the implications of being at home within your four walls, and starting to think about how far this was going to go and how we were going to come out of it. I was even, some of the early videos, even starting to talk about what might happen afterwards and how it might affect us, our lives generally. But whether I expected to still be making videos when I got to number 50, to be honest, I don't really know. But you get into it, and as I said before, it becomes a focus for the day. It becomes a habit, and I think it's a valuable thing. I mean, other people have been doing written blogs and things as well, and I've talked about other projects that are happening locally, nationally, and possibly even internationally, and how we're creating a record here, as I always call it, the digital memory bank. We're creating that for future posterity, for to look back on this, because histories will be written about this time. You can bet your life on that type of thing, because it's such a momentous time in everybody's life. It's a momentous time in history, modern history certainly, and it's going to change. It is changing, has changed the way that we live our lives, and the further we go down, the more that we can talk about it. So it's going to be fascinating to look back. It was fascinating yesterday just to look back at the first, I think I watched about the first week's worth of videos, got up to that point. I think it was on day 6 when I started showing the daily figures, and then talking about what we were calling the 1 week wobble, because we've been in lockdown for like a week, and how it was starting to affect us emotionally and mentally as well, even back then. We are now obviously day 50 of my videos, and day 52, if you want to put it that way, of what we have as a lockdown. So I don't know. I don't know where we're going to be going with this, how many more we're going to be doing this. And one point, particular question, I've actually asked about the sort of our local museum who are doing a project. They're going to be using my videos, which is nice of them, and they've got local people to write diaries. I've actually said to them, when are you actually going to stop cataloguing this? When are you going to stop getting people to actually write their thoughts down? When does it end? And I was thinking about that earlier on today myself, is when do I stop making videos? At which point do I feel that it's changed, this has come to an end? To be honest, I have no idea, because we just don't know what's going to be happening in the future. So will I get to number 100? I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I think if need be, if I feel that these videos are still worthwhile for me and for other people, yes, I'll probably still do them. I've never done anything like this before on YouTube back in the day, 2006, 2010, which I've talked about before. We used to do like challenges to do a week, a video a day for a week, or even a video a day for a month. We're on day 50, and there's going to be a lot more days to come. And some people have said to me, well, how do you come up with topics? How do you keep managing to talk? I don't find it difficult to talk, as you may have realised, but how do you keep finding things to talk about? Well, here we are. I have lots of little bits of paper here, and these are the things that I haven't even come to yet. Things happen every day. Things change. As we said, this is a fluid situation, especially now. I think in some ways even more so now that we're starting to come out of the lockdown in various countries, and I can relate, as I have done, what is happening elsewhere as well. Things are changing, so that is something to talk about. So anyway, I just thought I'd catalogue that and just talk about that, because day 50, it's a milestone. It's something that I didn't probably expect to be talking about. Getting to 50 days of a video every single day. That's quite something. I'm not sort of congratulating myself, but it's just quite something to have done that, and to think that I've done that as well. And other people are doing similar types, and like Ken, my friend in America, who's doing his quarantine songs, and he's done more than 50 of those, and and he's having to come up with new songs. And I'm wondering, Ken, if you're watching this, which I know, I'm pretty sure you will be, when you think you will be stopping as well. At what point do you think that that's the end of it for what you're doing at the moment? So there you go. Where we're going, none of us really know. We've been through a huge journey in those sort of 50 days, 52 days of our lockdown. It's changed all of us in lots of different ways. It's changed our lives, and it's going to change our lives a lot more in the next 50 days, probably as well. So it'll be interesting to see that journey, and hopefully I shall be here to catalogue that. So stay strong, stay safe, and hopefully I shall speak to you tomorrow, number 51. Goodbye.